You guys know I love podcasting and listening to podcasts, and I'm guessing if you're listening to this that you love podcasts too. Have you ever considered podcasting yourself? It is a great way to reach your audience, grow your know, like and trust factor, and not need to show your face unless you want to. If it is something you've thought about but you don't know where to start, then head over to becomeapodcaster.uk/BAP quiz, BAP quiz, to access a 2-minute quiz that will help you work out what type of podcast might suit you. That's becomeapodcaster.uk/BAP quiz. Today we are going to be talking about productivity tools I can't live without. Let's jump in. You're listening to the Wedding Procast UK, the place to be if you are a UK wedding professional looking to grow and streamline your business. I'm your host, Donna Eade, 10-year wedding photography veteran and CEO at the Society of Professional Wedding Vendors. If you want to grow and streamline your business, this is the podcast for you. Make sure you hit subscribe where you listen or join our email list at www.spwv.co.uk. You'll find the sign up form at the bottom of every episode, and by doing so, you won't miss a thing. So let's jump into today's show. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. My name is Donna. I am your host, and today we are going to be talking about productivity tools that I can't live without. But this isn't just about the productivity tools that I use and can't live without. I want to hear from you guys. So screenshot this where you are listening, share it on Instagram, tag me at Donna SPWV, and tell me the number one business productivity tool that you can't live without. I really want to know. I'd love to compile a list, and maybe I'll do an upcoming episode where I talk about the tools that you guys mention. So we are going to talk about my tools in this episode, but please do head over to social and share with me the ones that you really love. And if they're the same, awesome, we are on the same page. And if they are different, I would love to check out some new tools as well. So the first tool that I could not live without in my business and in my life actually is my Google Calendar. It is on every device I own. It is easy to update, and it just keeps me on track. Now, I've spoken to you guys before about calendar blocking. I am a big advocate for calendar blocking, and my calendar is always blocked. However, I have found that sometimes it doesn't quite work for me, and I have to get a little bit more granular with it. So I can block out my time and say, okay, this time is going to be used for this particular area of my business, but I need to get down a little bit more dirty, as it were, and just finalize what it is that I'm actually going to use that time for, because otherwise I can find that I will procrastinate like the best of us can. And it really does come down to actually saying, okay, so I'm going to be using that time for my podcast, but what am I actually going to do for my podcast? So just looking quickly at my calendar right now, I can see that Tuesday afternoons 2 till 5 is podcast time. Okay, so that is allocated for my podcast each week, but there isn't anything more in it than that. Now, there is a lot that goes into creating and producing my podcast, so I really need to make sure that what I'm doing is, okay, that's fine, that's what I'm going to use that time for, so I've got time to get my podcast done, but how about I actually go in there and say, I'm going to write 4 podcast scripts, or I'm going to record 4 podcasts, so that I know what I'm actually using that time for. So what I have started to do is to go in on a Sunday, look at my calendar for the week ahead and see what I'm going to do with each of those slots that I have created. So that has really helped me to make those calendar blocks more productive. So I like to, like I say, I don't like to chop and change the projects that I'm working on, I find it much easier if I sit there and focus on one particular thing and just go for it. Like once I'm in the zone, that's it. I don't like to jump around from task to task. I'm not somebody who is in my inbox every 5 minutes as soon as it pings. I'd rather not look at it at all, to be honest with you. It's one of my biggest time drains. So I will use this calendar blocking, and it allows me to really focus on particular topic areas more in depth. And by then going in on a Sunday and saying, okay, what am I going to use that time for this week? It will allow me to actually find the time where, okay, actually, I don't have anything, like, for example, with the podcast. Maybe I don't have anything to do with the podcast that week because I've already batched it, it's uploaded, and this is a week where I don't actually have to record or do anything with my podcast. I can go, okay, well, I don't actually need that time for that. What else needs my focus? And I can then repurpose that time rather than just sitting there and kind of letting the afternoon run away with me because, you know, I've had my lunch and then I've come back and I've looked at my emails and then I've just dived into this and clicked on that link and gone into that group and looked at that Facebook post, and then before you know it, the afternoon is gone and I've done absolutely nothing with that time that I could have used for something else. So my Google Calendar is a very colourful place for me to be, and I like being in my calendar. So that is another thing about it, is that I really like the Google look, and I think it's fun that you can have all these different colours in your calendar and it just looks like a happy place to me. And so seeing all of these different colours and all the different things that I'm doing is really something that isn't a chore to me. So I think when you can make it something that's enjoyable, then you're more likely to stick with it and do it. And for me, this is also something that keeps me on task with my private life as well. So everything goes into my calendar, all of my personal stuff, all of my business stuff. So I know what I'm doing. Like this weekend, I am going to Cambridge to do a macrame workshop, and that is in my diary. I can see it there in red. Anything that is in red is, this cannot be moved, this has to be done here, you have no choice but to do it, and that is a red block in my weekend, which I'm really excited about. So I use my calendar and I use it for all areas of my life. And I tell you what, if it wasn't for Google Calendar, the number of birthdays I will have forgotten would be off the charts, because although I remember people's birthdays, when it comes to like a few days before, I've forgotten about it. I don't know what happens. Like if you ask me when somebody's birthday is, I could tell you when it is. But then when their birthday actually comes around, the number of times that I can forget it is unreal. Like just my Google Calendar just pings on my phone and says, it's so-and-so's birthday coming up in 2 days. And I'm like, oh, thank God for that. So it's a really, really useful tool. Let me know what calendars you use, what you enjoy using there. But that is like my number one. If I could only have one tool, and because it sort of integrates with other Google apps and things like that, you can actually use it in a number of ways that can like almost eliminate other things that you think, oh, if Google was all I could have, I could get by. So the second one on my list is actually something that I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, and it is the AT tracker. I am absolutely loving this tracker, and I said to you guys that I would come and do a little review on it for you. So I'm actually just getting it up now to see if I can actually look at my history. So I remember I told you guys that I paid the £4.50 or whatever it was so that I could put more tasks in it, because I think on the free version you only get 4 or 5 tasks, and I wanted to be able to break it down more than that. So I actually did pay for it, and I have just found it really, really useful for keeping me on task and really finding out where my hours are going. So the other week I did like a 14-hour day, and I don't want to be doing a 14-hour day, But when you take out the personal bits, it wasn't actually 14 hours of work. And if I could remember what day it was, I would go back to it and show you, but I can't. So I may have had it for about a month now by the looks of it, and it's logged 121 hours and 7 minutes, and I can see that what I spend the most time on just from looking at this initially is my website, which has been something that I've been working on. So I think I've told you guys in a different podcast, I'm actually moving over to a different system. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But because of that, I am spending a lot of time on my website because I'm moving things over and stuff. So that is, nearly a whole day worth of work. And then I have my freelancing work that I have spent 16 hours on in the last month. And then I've logged some downtime because it was coming in between in the middle of the day, or I had something else to do, and I've just logged 11 hours of downtime. But most of that is actually in the evening, and I just did it until I went to bed or something. And then food, I have eaten for 11 and a half hours over the last month, which I don't know whether that's good or bad, to be honest with you, but I do try and make sure that I have a lunch hour. So that would make sense that it is that long. And then it kind of goes into different categories where I can't see from the pie chart how long I've spent on it. But for my YouTube channel, I spent 7 hours on that. I've spent 5 hours podcast editing. I've spent 5 hours in my email. I even put down here how long it takes me. So I spent 2 hours making tea over the last month, which I know is not accurate, because the thing with making tea is I will often make a cup of tea while I'm feeding the cats, so that's two jobs in one, or I'll be waiting for a video or something to download on my computer, so I'll go and make a cup of tea. So there is definitely more tea making happening, but that was solid just tea making. So yeah, it's really interesting to kind of see, and I can then sort of say, okay, am I happy with the way that this pie chart is looking? Is that where I want to be spending my time? Is that where I should be spending my time? And I can make adjustments. So it really helps, especially in connection with my Google Calendar, to look at these things and say, okay, is this working for me? And I think that is something that we have to look at on a regular basis, because our lives change and the things that we need to prioritize change. So being able to look back at where I'm spending my time, I can actually see whether it's actually working for me, if it's something that I need to be doing in the way that I'm doing it, or do I need to change it? Is there too much changing across a day? And the great thing with this is I can look at just a day pie chart. I can go to any day, look at the pie chart and say, okay, so what am I averaging on an average day? What am I spending the most time on? And is that productive for what I need to do? And going forward, especially after we did the low season priority series, which I've actually created a Spotify playlist for, guys. I didn't even think about this before, but on Spotify you can go and make a playlist. So I went and made a playlist of the low season priorities. So you can search that low season priorities, the Wedding Procast UK, and I'm sure it will come up. And if not, join the Facebook group, because I linked it in there. I thought, oh, how wonderful. I can just create a playlist of certain episodes that I think are going to be useful, and I can kind of categorize them for you, which is fantastic. So I might do some more of those. However, that's an aside, distracted Donna Squirrel. So with the low season priorities and then tracking my time in this way and looking at my calendar, I'm really able to see where I'm currently focusing my time and if that is going to push me towards my goals and the plans that I have for 2023. So I think it is a fantastic tool. I'm going to continue using it. I've really enjoyed just sort of seeing where I'm spending my time and just realizing how much it actually helps me to stay on task, because I don't want to go in and change the task on my phone. So it's just easier to stick with the task that I'm doing. And I have found that it has really helped me cut down on the procrastination time. So knowing that I've got to go in there and press downtime, or that I've got to go and press that I'm in my emails, which is a bit of a time suck for me, like I said, knowing that I've got to go and do that stops me doing that. So also, like with my lunchtime, like I said, I have an hour at lunch and I do switch off. I go and I watch some YouTube videos or whatever, but that's an hour. And then when I finish that hour, I'm like, okay, I've got to get off this now. I know that I've got to start that clock again and change my task and get back to work. So it really actually helps me. So it might help you too. And if you have any other task tracker type tools that you use that really help you to stay on track, then please do, like I say, head over to Instagram, tag me at DonnaSPWV and share with me what you use, because I would love to know, and it'd be great to share it with the rest of the listeners, because not everything that everybody uses will work for everybody, and that's why there's so many different types of tools. That's why there's so many businesses. That's why you can be a photographer in the wedding industry and make a good living, and so can somebody else, because not everything is for everyone, and that is the beauty of that. So that is the tracker. And then the third tool that I couldn't live without is my booking system. And this, again, to me, all of this is time saving. It helps with the procrastination for sure, but it is time saving, and anything that can save me time and allow me that downtime with my family, I am all for it. And a booking system does that. I cannot stand it when somebody turns around and says, oh, hi, yeah, can we have a chat? And I'm like, yeah, okay then. And they're like, oh, are you free on this day? And I'm like, oh no, I can't do that day. And they're like, oh, what about this day? And I'm like, no, but I could do this day. And they're like, oh no, I can't do it. Oh my goodness, it just goes round and round and round, and it does my head in. Being able to turn around and say to them, yeah, sure, here's a link to my diary, book whatever time suits you, let's get together. And then I will always add, if there is nothing on there that suits, then just hit me back up and we can try for something else. Or if you've got a link, send me your link and I will book in, because it's just so much simpler, and you can use it for all sorts of things. So I use it for one-to-one networking. I use it for my podcast guest spots. I use it for meetings. It is just such a good tool. And I have been using Calendly since I started. So probably back in 2020, I started using Calendly and I absolutely love it. However, what I said earlier, I am moving almost everything I'm doing to a different platform, and I will do a review of this platform once I've been in there and I've had it for a while and I've decided that it's working for me and everything else. I can't see that it won't. It is such a good platform, and I will tell you guys all about it when I get to that point. However, they have an internal booking system linked with Google that you can use as part of the package. So I'm not stupid. I'm not going to pay for Calendly if I've got a booking system within this new package that I've got and it comes with it. So it just doesn't make sense to pay for it twice. So I am moving my booking system over. I haven't actually booked anything through this new system yet, so I can't comment on it. However, a booking system is so important. You can use Calendly. I will always advocate for Calendly because I really, really liked it. I know that a couple of my friends use Acuity. There are others out there, but get a booking system. I have told you guys before, and I will scream it for the rooftops, that it will make your life so much simpler and so much easier when your potential clients can just book a call with you without having to speak to you. If they can go on your website and just book a call with you, you can pre-qualify them by asking them a few questions so that you've got an understanding of who they are before you speak. It is a game changer. I advocate for it so much that a booking system is such a time saver. It looks so professional to have that sort of system in place that is going to do it for you. It saves you time booking it in. It saves you sending out an email with a questionnaire. It just gives you this really smooth system to use. It's just so seamless, and it is just going to elevate your customer service. It is going to save you time in the long run, and I can't speak highly enough of booking systems, really. I wish they had been around when I first started in business. When I was a photographer, I would have loved to have had this. And maybe there was something, I just didn't know about it. You don't know what you don't know, right? But it is just brilliant, and I love using it. And I love being able to just send somebody a link and saying, it's got all of my spaces. Just book whenever is best for you, and just let them find a time that suits them from what's available, and vice versa. When somebody sends me a link, I'm just like, oh, it's just so much easier than all of that back and forth business. So definitely booking system, maybe that should have been my number one, because I will shout it from the rooftops that it is something that you need, but there you go. It is a booking system. So number 4, the fourth tool, perhaps not thought of as a productivity tool, she says as she stumbles over her P's. But for me, it is, and I will tell you why. So the fourth tool that I use is Canva. And you think, hang on, Donna, that's a design tool. That's a graphic tool. That's not a productivity tool. But for me, it is, because it saves me time, especially now that you can schedule from Canva. So I do pay for Canva. I think it's worth paying for, because you just get access to so much more. But you can resize your posts automatically on Canva. So you can literally just click a couple of boxes and it will resize whatever it is that you've created to the canvas size for that platform. So you can create an Instagram post and then you can resize it to Facebook, to LinkedIn, to Twitter, to Pinterest, and with just a click of the button, and it will copy it and make it that size. You do have to go in and adjust the sizing, but it is so much quicker and easier than starting from scratch for every single platform. Or what can sometimes be worse is just using the same graphic on all platforms and then having, it crop it in a different way so that it doesn't actually look how you want it to look. So to me, that is a real time saver. And again, just elevates what you're doing, because it looks like you have created that post solely for that social media platform when the graphic fits the canvas size for that platform. So that one. And then, like I say, you can schedule it from Canva. So they link in, and from that graphic, you can just literally hit a button and start to schedule it for that platform. You get a lovely calendar where you can see where everything is scheduled, and it's just such a great thing to be able to do, because you don't have to download it from that platform to upload it into something else. And that is something that you do have to do with the majority of other platforms. So even the platform that I'm moving over to, they have the ability to schedule social media posts, very similar to Later. However, because I would have to download and upload, and I would have to do an individual one for each of the social media platforms if I wanted to use a different graphic, that's going to take me more time. So that I'm not likely to use, because I would still need Canva to produce the graphics and then move over to the platform to do the scheduling. And it will require that download, upload. And then if I want to use the native canvas size, I would have to do them as individual posts rather than being able to post them all at once. Now, you do have to do them as individual posts in Canva, but they're already set up because you've resized them. So it's just a case of going in. And then I do copy and paste the text from one to another and then just adjust it for that particular platform. So for Instagram, I add in extra hashtags. For LinkedIn, I reduce the hashtags. For Facebook, I take off the hashtags, etc. Whatever it is for that platform. But the main copy stays the same across all platforms. So I just copy and paste it, and it's really quick and simple. But for the platform that I'm moving to, it would be a case of going in, selecting one profile, pasting the copy, uploading the image, scheduling, then go back, do the next platform. And that's just going to take much longer. So I'm probably going to stick with using Canva for my scheduling, just because it's all there in one place already. That's where I'm creating the graphics. So I might as well stay in that place. So Canva, again, another one that I really couldn't live without. I use it every single day without fail. Even if I have scheduled my posts for the week, I am still in Canva every single day, because I use it to create my website graphics. I use it to create images for emails. I use it all the time. So it is a fantastic tool to use. So if you're looking for new tools or different tools to help you, then I will link the ones that I have mentioned in the show notes. But like I said at the beginning of this episode and throughout, I would love to know what you use and what you can live without. So head over, screenshot this episode so I know you've been listening, tag me at DonnaSPWV, and let me know what is the number one productivity tool that you absolutely couldn't live without. I have mentioned today that I use Google Calendar, I use the A-Tracker app, I use my booking system, and I use Canva. So let me know what it is that you use. And with that, guys, stay productive. I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. Don't forget to hit those stars and leave a review of the podcast where you listen if you found value in what you heard today. It's a free way you can help the podcast reach more people just like you.